What's happening, Wisdom Warriors? Back at it for another video. What's happening, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Yeah, I want to talk about some interesting things that transpired. And also well, let me go a little bit into the Akashic records for any of you who are not familiar with it. And, I don't know if I essentially spoke about it on here or not, about kind of what it is, and I may have just referenced it. But basically, what the Akashic records are essentially is it's stored kind of above the crown of the head, and what it basically does is it's like a public library that you would walk into, right? And essentially, uh, every life, every single individual human that has incarnated, no matter how many times they've done it, their every move, every conversation, even this conversation that I'm having with you guys on this camera, videoing it for YouTube, is recorded in the Akashic records. And it's kind of like archives of your life. And literally every conversation, down to you just sitting outside watching the birds, it's all stored in the Akashic records, recorded, and every single life you've ever had. And so we basically have access to that. And we've have had access to that for I don't even know how many years and how long. But it's becoming more and more a common thing, and a lot more people are talking about it, and a lot more people are having access to it. And I've already done 3 to 4 practice readings, versus I did one with somebody a year ago, and then the last, I would say, month or so, I've done weekly readings for myself and somebody else. I read somebody else, went into their records, and they go into mine. Now, there is people that can go into their own records, but it's not the easiest thing to do. I've tried it. I haven't had success. It has been basically, I just got nothing. Maybe over time it will change. Maybe at some other point it'll happen. But there's many things that can happen in there. You can get advice. You can get questions answered. Most of the time they don't answer yes or no. From what I understand, they never do. You kind of want to have more of a question that is not a yes or no answer. And wow, today was powerful. Today I got multiple chills. I got emotional, because my dad came through. And this reading is weird because for some reason, I don't know if it was my fault or it was the other person's fault, or we just got our times jumbled up, but to be honest, it didn't work out. And then all of a sudden I was emailing and I was waiting to get in, and it just didn't happen. And I wrote something again, another response in email, and then all of a sudden she was there and we did the session. But like, I literally thought it was at 1:30, and she thought it was at 1 o'clock, and I got back to the computer at 1:15, and she already had written me like 3 or 4 times thinking I didn't make it into the Zoom. And man, I was saying to myself after she said, I guess you couldn't get in or you forgot about it. And I'm like, oh man, I really was looking forward to this. And yet I thought maybe it was not meant to be. Maybe it was an accident. Like, it just wasn't meant to be. And then all of a sudden she came on, and I said, I really apologize. I don't know if it was me or it was you or I wrote it down, but I had 1:30 in my notepad, and I just don't understand. You know, I missed the. I guess, but she said, no, no, it's okay. We can do it. So I was like, all right. And then now looking back, it was meant to happen. He really really wanted to come through, and this was his way of doing it. I was actually getting, well, I've been getting a lot of downloads, a lot of messages, tons of messages, angel numbers, as you guys know, 1111, 444, 1212, 222, just, but 1111 nonstop. And getting chills as I'm like recording this show because he's here with me, and he said it in the reading. And he said a lot of other things, but I don't really want to necessarily talk about all of it because some of it's kind of personal and to an extent, and I just don't want to go fully into it. But he definitely came through and was connecting to me and wanted to get a message across and was trying to find out ways, and I was actually wanting to channel him again with someone, but he came through in this way, which can happen in the Akashic records. A lot of things can happen in there when you enter the records. You can receive healing. You can receive whatever they feel you are ready for. They're going to come through with, and depending on what you're asking for too. And then sometimes if you have multiple questions. But it's a new way for us to have access to get more clarity on our life here and why we incarnated, and just so many other amazing things that come out of it. But I'm finding more and more people are being drawn to the Akashic records and being told about it, or finding it, or finding a book, or you know but this session was not only powerful for me, which I'll give you some insight that what he was coming through with, which was, and they were, for me to, and this might be something that can help you in your journey and path, that I need to follow the feeling. So if I'm feeling like, if I'm doing something, I'm yawning during it, then to just move on from that thing that I'm doing and maybe go back to it another day or another time in the day. But I essentially want to feel in the body like just this sensation of like where I know that well, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to give you an example. If you've ever felt like when you talk to somebody, you feel like you know them forever, and you've had lifetimes with them, and that you could talk forever with them. Well, that feeling is essentially you feeling lit up, like your flame inside is so bright and burning bright. Well, that's the feeling that they're telling me to follow in everything that I do. And I kind of got this message once before, maybe more than once. And I kind of call it like the flow state, like that feeling of flow state. But it goes with everything. It goes with something that you're doing financially, something that you're doing, you want to move somewhere, you want to live somewhere, you want to, like if you feel that icky feeling and that tired feeling and that exhaustion feeling, and you're not lit up in whatever situation you're doing, whether it be cooking yourself food or going out on walks or whatever the heck the case may be. Like I get on here and I feel lit up. I could talk to you. I could record a 10-hour video. It really lights me up. And that, my friends, is what you have to follow. That is being in alignment. That is alignment essentially with God. With if you feel disconnected and you feel kind of like you're hitting a wall when you talk to somebody, or it's like talking to a wall, or it just doesn't feel good. It just feels kind of sluggish and tired and you feel exhausted and drained, then you already know, man. And they said it before she started to read everything and go into my records. I already got the download. Like, he was saying to me already, he already knows. He already knows. And it's funny because I told you guys before that I look straight across there and there's a photo of him and he's smiling in it. And he wanted me to know, all these things that now, instead of me walking in his footsteps, he's walking beside me. And that he's with me all the time, and that he's on this journey with me. And I got really, really emotional, guys. I really got emotional in that reading because I felt it. And then also during the reading, when we were kind of like in the midst of it, there was two red cardinals that joined together, like flew together like that and then flew away, and I saw them out in front of the window, and that was another sign. And she said he's been bringing me signs and messages and trying to get through to me. And just to realize that everybody is rushing to get out of this human experience. Everybody is rushing to get to the 5D, to get to the other side. And he goes, you have no idea how amazing it is to have a human body and to have the experiences that we have and are able to like experience here in the physical with a body that we cannot experience in the spiritual realm. And he wanted to bring that through so much. Like he wanted to emphasize that how we're rushing to like gain wealth or get more and more and more stuff or more and more money or get where yeah, you're going to transition over onto the other side, but where? What? Like, to have a physical body, I spoke about it on the Sunday sermon. If you didn't catch it, go back and listen to it, about miracles. The body is a miracle, and he even said it. My father came through with that. Like, we run ourselves down, we drain ourselves, we physically exhaust, we're in survival mode. And that's one thing that he spoke of, and that's one thing that I kind of emulated from seeing him live in survival mode. And I'm pretty sure that it all started when he was 49 and got his first bout of cancer. That's when it all started. Because prior to that, I feel like he was living life on the edge. And then that's when the fear set in, and fear began to take him over. And he wanted to like bring through that, let go of the fear, let go of all of that. You're being guided, you're protected. When you are in alignment, God has got your back. The universe has your back. When you're in that alignment state. And these moments of where we feel yucky and we feel like this just doesn't feel right, like this job doesn't feel right. And then what you start to do, which is a really interesting thing, we start to sabotage it, not really realizing it subconsciously, where we do things that will get us fired because it's not meant for us to be doing that. We're doing it, but we're out of alignment with it. And it's essentially kind of a way for our higher self or our subconscious to get us out of that situation by us doing things that will force a firing to happen, or force that friend to walk away, or you to walk away, and we don't even realize that our higher self, our subconscious is doing this, subconsciously. And I'm telling you guys right now, man, with the messages that were coming through, I hope that you hear this whole video. Whoever is meant to hear it will hear it. And but I'm telling you, man, this life is not to take for granted. This life is to have deep gratitude that you have a physical body and you get to experience all of these things, like maybe a massage, maybe some good tasting food, and not to focus on that survival, not to focus on how many likes I get. They said that. Don't focus on how many likes and how many subscribers and how many people are viewing it, because that puts you in the lack mentality. Because then you look at it as that's not enough. So 61 subscribers is not enough. And then you put yourself in lack and survival, because that's what that is. It's a survival mode essentially. And wow, was I blown away when I heard that. It really woke me up, this reading, big time. And I know that's why he came through for that, to bring this message. He's been trying to bring messages through, and I know he has. But this came through loud and clear. And I'm getting, like I said, chills as I record this video for you all, because somebody needs to hear this. Somebody out there who has taken this life for granted, and that you have a physical body, and that you can see, hear, taste. I told you guys, his last 3 months, or his last 6 months, he started to, well, I don't know if I just mentioned it on any of the videos, but if I did, and I am, and his eye started to bulge, and he had to wear a patch, and he literally was having difficulty seeing things and seeing the computer, and they were trying to get a message. This higher self was trying to get a message across to him, that you have the ability to see. Don't take that for granted. You know, taste, walk, talk, hear. If you can't have those, you know, things, but regardless, if you're here in the physical, you have a physical body, that you have the ability to live life, and don't, you know, don't look at it as if you are not the body. Look at it as if you are not the body, because you are not the body, right? You are just in the body experiencing. It's just a vessel to give you this life experience. And I'm telling you, man, his last words at the end of that reading, well, it wasn't his last words, but he said many times that he regretted it. He regrets it. That people don't understand, and he didn't understand how amazing having a physical body is. When you don't have it anymore, and you leave the physical body, and you leave this vessel, and you transition over. I've heard it now multiple times. I've heard it from celebrities that have been channeled. If you don't know what channeling is, it's where you can connect to a certain spirit, or a spirit comes through and basically channels through you messages. And I've heard it multiple times already from multiple celebrities that passed on, that the biggest thing they regret is taking it for granted. The physical body, taking this experience for granted. And once you leave, you want to come right back. And I said that to him. And you know what the funny thing is? That's what he came through and said. He said he told me, but I didn't listen. He told me, he tried telling me. I did. I tried multiple times. I tried for a long, long time. I tried for years, actually. And again, I'm getting chills, because I tried telling him for years, and he just took it for granted. I wouldn't say took it for granted so much, but yeah, and then I would say that. I would kind of say both, because again, I feel like it was more so maybe a few years after he healed from the cancer in 97. But it's a common theme I've been hearing, man. The same thing over and over again, that once you leave, you miss the human touch. You miss holding somebody's hand. You miss hugging, and that's one thing that he said. You know, he misses hugging. Yeah, I hope that somebody out there hears this message, and I know somebody that needs this will hear it. And just remember, man, if you are taking anything for granted, to not take it for granted, because As I said multiple times, and as he said, my father, who has since transitioned on as of last year, um, it's magnificent. I mean, that you can smell a rose, you can smell a flower, you can smell these essential oils, you can smell food being cooked. I mean, the breath, the breath that I talk about on here so much, how powerful it is. And if you harness the power of the breath, just start remembering, man. Just start remembering. That's what he came through to bring to me. That he's been trying to bring messages through and getting me my attention, and he definitely has. Little did I didn't know it was actually him with all the 1111s and the 444s and the 1212 and the 555s and just these different things that um, I said, man, I love him. I miss him. I had so many things I had hoped that we'd do together, but it was funny because he was coming through that we were on a ski slope, and it was like he showed like me skiing down the mountain and like just the excitement and the feeling of the snow like blowing up in the air, and that's what he says you have to come to, that excitement, that feeling of like feeling in alignment, because you know what feeling in alignment is. You can everything flows, everything's smooth, and then when it's not, you're resistant, or you're fighting the situation, or you're paddling upstream. And when you're not, and you're on that lazy river, and you're in that inner tube, and you're letting the lazy river just take you upstream, there's no resistance, there's no friction, it's just flow. Everything just flows like I'm speaking to you on this camera, it's just flowing. And that's what they want to convey, that's what my father wanted to bring through. That feeling of that flow where it just flows. When there's fear involved, or there's um, you feel like it's not smooth, it's not flowing, then they said, you know what, take a break from it, or it's time for you to try something different, or maybe that's not working anymore. Like they said, if I feel that way at any point with this YouTube channel, then just stop. I can go back to it, but just stop, and don't. Maybe you have to rest. Maybe you need to reflect, right? And then go back. And then, or the podcast, they said it could last a year, 3 years, 10 years. But then when you feel that feeling of where it's just not flowing, it's just not working, it's just feeling mundane and kind of like yucky, it's time to let it move on. And mind you that it can shift into something else, but they said I came here, and most of us came here to create. So essentially, there's millions of YouTubers out on YouTube, there's millions of podcasts, but they said that I came here to create, and create it in a different way, to touch people in a different way than it's been done normally. So to bring it in a different way, the information, in a whole new way, like create a new way of a podcast. And it's interesting because the way we have designed it, and like I said, I haven't really talked about this much, but I'm going to bring it up because I have been working on a podcast with someone, and over a year now, and we just recorded another one. We so far have 6 out, and probably over 20 or 30 recorded, which will just go in the archives for, we can use them for anything at any point. But yeah, so, if it's a feeling, it's not like, it's a feeling and a knowing. It's just like when I sit and do the Akashic records. Some of this other stuff I did, I haven't been going back to it because I just am not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, so I'm not doing it. And so they said to if that falls off and you feel that way, then you find that feeling. You chase that feeling because that feeling is you lit up. It's your fire burning inside, like burning so bright. Like when I get on this video and record, it's the flame inside is lit up so much. And when you're lit up like that, you're in flow. You're everything's just flowing, and you're in alignment. So I hope this helps someone. I know it will help someone. And I love you all so much, and I appreciate you all. I'm going to work on not focusing on how many subscribers and how many likes, because they said, and my dad said, that the right people will be drawn to my light and will be drawn to the words I say and how I say it and the messages, and it will grow naturally. And and that goes for anything that I'm doing, and it may evolve into something else. It may evolve into something different, completely different. It could still be the YouTube channel, but in a completely whole new, different way. You know what I mean? As I grow and I evolve and I learn what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and that's what I came here to do: feel what feels good, and follow that. Kind of like what he was doing. Because he was messing around with muscle testing, kinesiology, and which is a lot what David Hawkins talks about. And so, but like he said at the end, it was his time. And, but there's a lot that sounded like he came through with regret in a lot of different ways, which I knew. I said it to him before he passed. Not that day, but during the months before he passed. And because I was hearing those messages already, like so many that happens to. And even I was talking about on the podcast Steve Jobs. If you remember when he was on his deathbed, that's exactly what he spoke about, the regret that he had for just trying to obtain more and more and more, to then be laying in that hospital bed dying and not being able to take any of it with him, as we all know this. So just follow the feeling that you get when something doesn't feel good and feels yucky and stuck and just like you're in the muck, and it doesn't feel like anything is flowing. Then you're not in alignment. And when you feel in alignment, it's going to flow. It's going to be smooth. Everything's just going to come out and flow like I'm doing in this video. It's just going to come through like that. That's pure connection to source. That's connected to divine. That's alignment. And you'll know the difference. You know the difference. Again, if you're watching this, you know the difference. But if you don't, I'm explaining it. And hope it helps you. Hope that you can find your mojo and your juices and get the juices flowing, and understand what feels good to you and what doesn't. And if it don't feel good, man, fuck it, move on. Go to the next thing. Go to the next person. Move somewhere else. Whatever you have to feel that alignment. That it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, as long as you feel that flow, that where it's smooth. It's just like you're just like free falling down the river, in that inner tube down the lazy river. It's just taking you smoothly down the river. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to paddle. It just is taking you for the ride. I hope this helps. I love you all so much. From my heart to yours. I love you, Dad. I know you're here in this room watching me. I know you're cheering me on. I'm getting chills just saying it. I can see you looking right at me, smiling. I love you, man. I love you, Dad. I love you all. Just take care of yourself and each other. And until next time, from my heart to yours, take care of yourself, guys. Get rest. Know and follow your heart and follow the feeling inside you of what you feel feels right to you, and what doesn't. Because that's what we're learning more and more. We're learning our worth and our value and what we want and what we don't want. So just enjoy the human experience, baby, because you don't want to drop completely in those low fear vibrations and stay there and let fear run your life. You will regret it, man. I promise you that. Love you all so much again. Take care of yourself. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. If you don't, that's good too. Either way, the message will get out to whoever needs it. I love you all so much. Take care of yourselves. From my heart to yours. Let's go, Wisdom Warriors. We got this.